Behold, here in front of you the power of Extra Link, the ultimate evolution of Synchro Summon, only witnessed and not witnessed since the banning of Firewall Dragon. Oh boy, I'm not gonna lie guys, the ultimate thing I took away from this episode was Extra Link, motherfucker. Oh, this was a doozy. Like, seriously, there's just something entertaining about watching something that became such a hot button topic in the real game sort of become this be-all end-all force in the show. And it's different from, like, when staple cards show up. Like, extra linking was something when it first got announced that just seemed like this impossible thing, you'll never get to it. Then the nightmares showed up, and then everyone was doing it, and now we've kind of cycled our way out of it, which is probably for the best. But sort of seeing it kind of be this big plot point here was cool on a number of levels, and from a narrative perspective, I sort of like this idea that when the Extra Link showed up at the end of the previous season, it was a big deal. The level of power that it meant Revolver had when compared to Yusaku was really cool. And in this episode, I sort of like this idea that it felt kind of reduced. Like we're on a whole nother level of card game. And I think that's really cool, using the actual game mechanics on display to sort of give an idea of the increased intensity. Like, you see, Lightning really had no problem getting off an Extra Link to the point where everyone had to take a double take, like, wait, what, he did that? And then you just see, like, Spectre go even further than Revolver and get out this big 7-monster board. I mean, you could make the argument it felt sort of shallow because he had no card effect protection, and that's what ended up screwing him over. But I like the idea. Like that idea that Spectre may not be as powerful as the rest, but he's still could bring it all out. But ultimately, Lightning is just a level of intelligence beyond a human, beyond a normal person. But, and what I liked about this, he is not without the flaws of a human being. And I like that that's what was really on Showcase. Like, we heard Spectre bring up last week that Lightning's got a secret. Someone in the comment section had a very intelligent comment, and that is that Lightning actually does care for his human counterpart. I still like to believe my brony theory, but no, that's a very interesting look at it. This episode, that wasn't really brought up again, which I found a little disappointing, but I can't help but enjoy the scene where Spectre does his big multiple Extra Link shenanigans, and you see him like he's blushing and he's making his crazy villain face, and then he looks like he's orgasming to his trees. It was a lot of fun to watch, but more importantly, if we want to infer a little bit further about what this says about Spectre's personality besides he's crazy, this sort of fits into his duel strategy, like what he used last season, first against Aoi and then against Yusaku, and that is that he likes to get under someone's skin. He likes to get in their brain and tinker with it, like we saw him do to Aoi. So I feel like this was kind of an extent of that. Even his arrogance, even his cockiness was playing into his sort of strategy, and that is to sort of drive Lightning insane. Like, the way he's sort of talking about it and making everything seem like it's just such a big joke and just a plaything, and how much bigger this makes him feel than Lightning. You saw how that pissed Lightning off because it played to Lightning's ideology, and that is that the Ignises are the superior beings. Well, here the superior being is basically being mocked by some rando who all the numbers say isn't as good as him. It's an interesting little bit, it's a nice little bit, and the whole sort of way the episode played out, I thought really sort of complimented it, and was really a nice way to build Lightning up further. Also, Lightning's Link 4 is a fucking guy on an elephant. That is awesome. Elephants are cool. They deserve more recognition. I demand the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist use an elephant deck, goddammit. I'm getting very off track. Anyways, no, but Lightning's whole sort of turn made sense. I've joked several times before when players in the show make big deals out of these sort of big, like, ridiculous boards, but in the real world we have these very simple ways of outing them. Rather they're kaijus, rather they're board wipes, and obviously Lightning didn't use Raigeki, he didn't use Evenly Matched, he used a couple different cards. it was still the way you do it. It wasn't some overly convoluted thing. Like, Lightning expected that, no, this guy's going to have a strategy for getting around me, so here's my strategy for dealing with that when the time comes. It felt very intelligent, it felt very much to the point, and I enjoyed it. All in all, if I had to pick of these past two duels, which ultimately were just based around the concept of someone who inevitably has to lose to move the plot forward, and how they sort of go about still trying to make that entertaining, I think I say I preferred Haru's death more than Spectre's. I thought that one was a little more interesting and going for some more interesting ideas. But this one was still a lot of fun, and I felt like they did a lot of ways to keep it entertaining. And I'm really interested to see Soulburner face Windy next week, if for nothing else for the fact that I'm personally interested in building Salamangreat, and I kind of want to get more used to seeing the deck in action, mostly because Thunder Dragon are kind of becoming a bit more expensive, and the desire for that sweet, sweet money is kind of getting to me. Anyways, so that was this week's episode. Not as much to talk about as usual, but a lot of interesting things. The second thing I'd like to talk about, I want to move away from the anime and get into a little bit more of the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Mostly because I'm seeing a lot of talk about this, and I kind of want to throw my 2 cents into this discussion. So shortly after the drop of last week's ban list, which, as many of you know, my thoughts are there's a lot of cool stuff on it, but I still think 2 of the most irritating decks went unchecked, and I think that's unfair. One of the big things with the list was the unbanning of Cyber-Stein, a card many people thought would never come off the ban list because we're the TCG, we over-abuse the fuck out of everything. Well, Cyber-Stein came off the list, and I think within 24 hours we were abusing the fuck out of it. Yeah, Cyber-Stein FTK I think showed up Saturday. It showed up the day after the ban list. Just these kooky, reproductus, random psychic card making the guy free, and then just going off and going off and going off. And now when this first showed up, I didn't really think much about it, and when I saw all the Yugi tubers going crazy over it, I felt this is just them trying to get some cheap views. Unfortunately, as the week has progressed, we've actually seen this deck evolve into something pretty crazy. And I won't lie, there is something kind of cool about the idea of some silly, gimmicky concept someone thought up, probably just on a whim, sort of turning into a big meta contender like this. Or is it a big meta contender? Because that's kind of the question going into YCS Chicago. That, and also, will you survive a trip to the Midwest at the current moment? But what I think is kind of bothering people, it's not necessarily that Cyber-Stein is already part of a deck. It's that it's A, part of an FTK, and B, it's the dangers again. That's right, Konami of America's baby literally couldn't go one list. Like what? I think they did nothing. They weren't really doing anything for a while there, but oh wait, no. Now they were working their way back into Thunder Dragon to the point where they had to hit the Thunder Dragon variant with danger. And then immediately, here's another FTK with them. This makes what? 2 or 3 they've been involved with, and it's basically the same one as last time, just replacing your win condition with Cyber-Stein. And it's sort of a scary thing because the last 2 ban lists have been purely designed to get rid of things like FTKs and OTKs and put us into a more back and forth format. But here we are right back at square one with another FTK involving another TCG exclusive archetype we didn't ask for. And so it's like, what does this mean? Like, we're about to go into a YCS, and there is a very strong possibility this new FTK could be a big deal. Now, it could also fall flat on its face, because it is relying on a forced one-of, but this is the question going into the event of what do you actually think is going to happen? That is my TCG question for you this week. Now, my thoughts ultimately on Danger Dark, on this new Danger FTK, it's basically Danger Dark World, is I'm actually kind of fascinated to see what's going to happen. I know my reaction should be, oh, it's bad for the community, it's bad for the game, make it go away. I'm kind of really interested, because here's the thing. I feel like in a lot of ways, as a Yu-Gi-Oh community, the community needs drama. It needs Firewall Dragons. It needs Crystron Needle Fibers, because a lot of it does seem to run on this kind of drama. But more importantly, I think this puts Konami of America in such an awkward spot because they made a big deal out of how much crap was coming off the list, this ban list. That's why they did so much. And here is one of the craziest things they've ever taken off a ban list, essentially doing what got it banned in the first place, and it's doing with an archetype Konami of America made themselves and essentially have been sort of avoiding the issue of we kind of fucked up when making a deck, an engine that is wholly based on draw replacement. So, and again, it's easy for me to say this because I don't have like any events till like April. They really screwed the Northeast over. But here's the thing. I want to see what they're going to have to do, because now you got to address it. Now you've got to deal with it. Their baby, their TCG exclusive archetype is leading to degeneracy in the game in ways that Burning Abyss, Cosmo never did. Now, I personally still hate Burning Abyss a lot. That deck just irritates the shit out of me. Cosmo, I'm kind of on. But the thing is that I want to see what this is going to force them to do. Like, this is insane. Like, will they have to ban their own archetype? They obviously know they screwed up because they only put one danger in Savage Strike and created the Time Thief archetype, which is a really fun deck, by the way. So what do you think is all this leading? Or are you curious to see what Konami is going to have to do to deal with such a crazy issue? Tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me as we pray for our Yu-Gi-Oh players surviving the trip to the frozen tundra known as the Midwest.